Well, hello everyone. Welcome again to our another episode of Holy Hitchhikers or Hitchhiker's Guide or whatever. What do we call ourselves again? Becoming more.
Becoming more to show. Yeah, we're Holy Hitchhikers.
Holy Hitchhikers, becoming more. Yeah. So this episode we're going to be discussing Elder Gong's talk from the most recent April 2021 General Conference. It's called "Room in the Inn," and I thought this was a very interesting talk. I didn't quite understand it at first. I read through it closely later on, and sometimes it's like that. I don't know if you find that with conference talks where listening to it once or even twice, it doesn't quite absorb, and you have to kind of really kind of go through it. I don't know if you guys find the same, but for me, yeah, at first I thought, "Room in the Inn," just the title. What does that sound like? Room in the Inn?
Christmas. It's going to be a Christmas story.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. And I was looking for the Christmas references, and there was none in this talk. So what is he talking about? I think what he's doing is kind of brilliant. He's taking this parable of Jesus, and he's applying he's interestingly applying a new application to it. And so I thought that was kind of cool. Now, of course, the parable that he's talking about is the parable of the Good Samaritan. And as we recall, that's where there's a man. He's on his way to Jericho, and he's mugged, and he's beaten half to death and left in the ditch for dead. And along the road are some people that are walking by, of course, and the first is a priest. And if I was laying dead in a ditch or laying almost dead in a ditch, I'd be happy to see a priest walk on by. I'd wave and call him over. But in this parable, he doesn't. In fact, he walks over to the other side of the road and keeps on walking. Another person, a Levite, walks by, and a Levite would be, a temple worker, let's call it. Yeah, another great person I would wish to find me, and yet this person also walked across the road and didn't help out. The person who did help out was of course, the Samaritan. The Samaritan is, in those days, were a very hated individual. There was a lot of prejudice at that time, and they were looked at as apostates. They were looked at as people who had kind of, in the eyes of the Jews at that time, they were worse than Gentiles. Not only were they, they were like, yeah, completely worse than the Gentiles. They were like, worshiping God, but in the complete wrong way. And so, of course, the natural instinct would be to not like this person, but this person was the one who came and showed love and brought the dying person on his donkey to an inn and paid for the inn and took care of him and promised to come back. And so the way Elder Gong has applied this parable is it's like a metaphor for the church, where the inn that he is brought to is actually, that's the church. The church is the inn. So I don't know, what did you guys think of that? What did you guys think of using the church as an analog to the inn?
You got to go first, Mike.
Oh, do I have to go first?
You don't have to. Okay, if you want me to, I'll.
You share your thoughts. I have thoughts, but I don't want to be jumping ahead and around. But I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Right. Specifically of the analogy of the inn being the church. I don't think that it's. I really appreciated that he did that, but it wasn't for me, it wasn't limited to the church as an organization. The collective community of the church is meant to be, what I got out of it was that the collective community of the church is meant to be as welcoming as the inn.
Yes.
The whole talk to me is about the question of generosity, charity, the pure love of Christ, and particularly given the fact that we had this horrible event take place just a few months prior, before the whole world, that demonstrated the opposite type of thinking, and the people who perpetrated that act, what I'm talking about is the insurrection of the United States Capitol, as the whole world watched, this terrible event taking place. They thought they were righteous. There were people who got on the floor when they broke their way to the floor of the cabinet. They took a moment to pray thanks to Heavenly Father for granting them this victory. And the people of the same sort of philosophy, these Trump supporters, actually the Trump administration in just in the past couple of years, you'll remember there's a point at which I was stricken by this in going over this talk again, about here was talking about room at the inn. And then just a couple of years ago, there was Trump came out and did a press conference where he said essentially to like they have to close the border to the south, close it because there's no more room in the United States of America, in the entire country. Like, they counted all the people, and there's not room for one more person. So I guess it's bad news.
Very small place.
Yeah, it's bad news for those couples who are wanting to have children because there's no more room. Despite the fact that the birth rate is down. So it is a very different. People are being deceived, and here he's trying to open our eyes to the way that our hearts should be, how we should look at one another. Again and again, we come back to this. The two greatest commandments, love God, love your neighbor. And by the way, on that note, personally, I do not, and I'm not trying to impose this upon you all, but I refuse to refer to that parable as the Good Samaritan. That title, for me, inherently castigates the rest of Samaritans. The Good Samaritan. It's the good neighbor. For me, it's the parable of the good neighbor. How do we become good neighbors? Be like that Samaritan. So anyways, those are some of the thoughts that went through my head as I read this.
That's it. I didn't take quite a political route with it. I did think more literally of the church, not institutionally per se, and obviously the inn isn't the building, although there is, that metaphor works as well. So I think similarly, I was thinking of our attitudes of inclusiveness and acceptance. He says, that we're to provide grace and space for people. So there should be an offering of security and welcome, no matter who the person is, no matter how roughed up they've been by life, that they find a place where they fit, because we all fit. And I mean, I have to admit, I reflect on the British pub a little bit with when I think of the inn, not with the alcohol flowing idea, but it's sort of the hub of the community, and all the toothless weirdos and all the unhappy housewives and all the young kids, and everyone hangs out together at the pub. That's it's where everyone has a place, where everybody knows your name, cheers, that kind of thing. So that sort of sense. I mean, I don't know that he was going for that image, but it worked for me. But I was also thinking, just another reflection that I had, and then we'll get back to you, Sam. I was thinking, when you go to an inn, you pay, right? You pay for the food, you pay for the shelter. It's not just charity there. But in the story of the Samaritan, not the Good Samaritan, but that Good Samaritan, he pays. he gives the innkeeper what he needs. And, you know, with that idea that whatever you need to take care of this guy, here it is, he's taken care of. And I thought, you know, that makes me think of Jesus. Because sometimes we think of ourselves as being responsible to be the Good Samaritan, but I think in this talk, Elder Gong is saying, no, you're the people in the inn. You're the innkeepers, you're the other patrons, you're the waitresses, the barkeeps, whatever, kitchen staff, whatever it is. You're the people keeping that in a place of comfort. And Jesus is the one who paid the price. He paid the price for that person to be there. And in fact, he paid the price for you to be there. So serve the way a well-paid innkeeper would serve. That sort of thing. Anyway.
Oh, thanks, guys. I'm just going to close with this thought, and this is sort of it's another angle on this parable, and it's not it. You know, one of the lessons that I've heard, and I heard someone articulate it this way, and I thought it was brilliant. That, see, the priest who was walking by, why didn't he help the Samaritan? And you know, not being familiar with, you know, in that culture, sometimes we miss it. But a priest was to serve in the temple, and the priest had to be ceremonially clean all the time. And so, to touch a dead body, or to touch blood, or to touch someone who is almost dead, would have rendered that person unclean and unable to serve in the temple. And so, just from religiously, he was not able to, even if he wanted to help him, he really couldn't, because that would cause him to not be able to fulfill his duties as a priest. And the same is true of the Levite. He worked in the temple. He couldn't help. And yet the Samaritan, who had no such obligation, there was no covenant, and there was no, he was not bound by any kind of law. There was nothing preventing him from helping out. And so the takeaway could be looked at like this: to not let the details of your religion prevent you from loving somebody. And I thought that was brilliant. And I think this talk of Elder Gong's is, I think he's really really emphasizing that, yes, the church is to be a very inclusive place where everybody belongs, and we're going to be different, and we're not going to agree on everything, and that's okay. And you know, we're all in it together, and so, anyways, that's I think that's all. That's how I want to end this episode. And thank you guys for the great discussion, and thank you everybody out there for listening and watching, and yeah, we'll catch you in the next episode. Take care.
Ciao.